We already see some questions in the chat box here. Please send us your questions. That would be great. And without further ado, here's Al Lewis to lead us off.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. I can already tell by the number of questions, we're not going to get through the agenda, and we are committed to ending on time, but we will have these on a regular basis. So if you look at the agenda, we're going to play a little pop trivia with you folks, and you'll have a chance, just for bragging rights, not for incentives, to answer some questions. And then we'll go through, we're going to, in every one of these from now on, we're going to do one feature Quizzify and focus. Deepali will review some of the best engagement strategies. And then it says time permitting, we'll go through the ROI calculator, but to be honest, we're exactly 90 seconds in, and I can already tell we're not going to have time for that today, because we've got a ton of Q&A that got submitted in the survey, and we've got some in the chat box. So with that, let me turn to the first question. Now, the first thing we're going to do is show you a couple of questions that have been, one of them could be potentially controversial, and the other has been controversial, and we'd like to get your opinions on them. First, we'd like you to answer them. So we're going to go to the quiz, and the first question, and note that we're trying to be as straight as possible on this. Which of these presidents shown here in their official White House portraits did not receive and will not receive the COVID vaccine? Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, or Donald Trump? And Mark is going to put up the polling. And while he's collecting that, let me answer the first question that came in. How the Harvard question review process works. Well, what happens is occasionally they actually never write questions, but they propose questions. We write them, and we put our little, personality into them that some of you like and some of you don't, which is your guess. And then we send them back to them, and they have a main reviewer who reviews about 70 or 80% of our stuff. And then he will farm things out like dental or orthopedic, stuff that he doesn't know, to somebody else. Then they will send us the edits that they want, or occasionally they just say no. We make the edits, and then we stamp it Harvard Review. And it usually takes a couple of weeks, but in the case of COVID, they've been willing to do it very quickly. Okay, so do we have a survey answer? George H.W. Bush is absolutely correct. And the reason is that he is dead. And everybody else has gotten it. And notice that just because we don't want to get in trouble with anybody, the exact same, oops, what did I just do here? The exact same answers appear under all of them. All living ex-presidents have received the vaccine and recommend it. All living ex-presidents have received the vaccine and recommend it. So if you have comments on this question, put them in the chat box, or else just tell us afterwards. And we have one more sample question here, which is, according to all the literature, how often should adults get a preventive checkup? A, preventive checkups are not recommended. B, annually. C, every 2 years. D, every 3 years. And while you are doing that, I will answer another question, which is there an internal question answer review at Quizzify before they are published? And the answer is yes. We have Peter, our millennial in chief, who does our tech, at one point about 3 or 4 years ago, noticed that we weren't doing that and said, we have to eat our own dog food, folks. And so now we have a group we call the Dog Food Testers. It has about 30 people in it, and they review the questions. Probably only, honestly, about 6 or 7 will click on any quiz, but they will review the questions before they go out. So they get reviewed by us, they get reviewed by Harvard, and they get reviewed by the Dog Food Testers. Okay, do we have an answer, Mark? Okay, so, okay, we have preventive annual checkups not recommended, tied with annually. The answer is preventive annual checkups are not recommended. The The best answer is to ask your doctor when you should come in again, assuming nothing in your health changes or anything like that, because you can actually have too much preventive care. And in fact, many people do have too much preventive care. And we actually wrote a blog article about it. It was a little bit self-centered, but all the literature says that you should not automatically go in for a checkup every year, even if they were completely free to the entire system. You're actually, statistically speaking, vastly more likely to get overdiagnosed and overtreated than you are to actually have something found that where you could change the course. And since this is an unpopular question, we say don't shoot us, we're just the messengers. We are just saying what New England Journal, the Journal of the American Medical Association, Choosing Wisely, Health Affairs, and I might add Harvard Medical School all say. So once again, the right answer is, the best answer is that if you still are doing that where people have to get a checkup and the doctor has to complete a form, there should be a line on the form that says come in for your next checkup in 20X. Maybe it's 2022, 2023, 2024, whatever. But if your employees are willing to waive their HIPAA rights to tell you how healthy they are, they would get whatever credit you have for the intervening years. So I think someone is complaining about the question here. This question specifies annual. Perhaps you take that out and ask how often should adults get a preventive checkup? Oh, okay. I just actually specifically wrote the question for this quiz, but I will change that. That's a good point. Thank you. Clarification, not a complaint, just a suggestion. Thank you. Okay, so we now also have some questions where you're going to hit the chat box here and take a guess, and we will take, these are guesstimates. So we will take, before we get to that, the one thing I did want to point out is if you look at the top 25, and people say, where do you get this list? I'm happy, well, we will send this list out when we send out this presentation. This is the top 25 diagnoses by total dollar spend in the employer paid population. So you get orthopedics, birth event, orthopedics. These are actually birth event, orthopedics. You're seeing a trend here. Mental health, birth event, septicemia, good luck preventing that, birth event, and so on. And there's essentially nothing on here that can be prevented with primary care. And you can also use this to determine where you want to focus your resources to match where you're spending. So you saw a lot of birth events, and as coincidence would have it, and we will send you the link to this if you don't already have it, we are doing a webinar on a new prematurity prevention technology next month. So we'll make sure you get that. It's very, very cool. You know us, we don't think anything is cool that vendors do, and we think this is very cool. So now hit the chat box. The first question is what is the rate per thousand, meaning you're going to pick a number between 0 and 1,000 of under 65 insured people, in other words, the people you insure, going to the hospital in a year, one per year, with diabetes as the primary diagnosis. Okay, hit the chat box. And while you are doing that, let's see if I can answer one more question here. Okay, we're getting some, actually some, I should not be surprised that these are, for the most part, these are actually excellent answers. The thing is, we're preaching to the choir here. This is like the creme de la creme that we attract to Quizzify and certainly to our user groups. I'm getting numbers that are very low. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 10. And in fact, the answer is in the total under 65 population, it's about 1. If you just look at employees, so you're excluding basically dependents, it's closer to 2, but it is very low. That is the key point here. If you listen to the diabetes vendors talk to you, it makes it sound like you've got this massive epidemic of diabetes. And in fact, you do have a, I'm sorry, I'm getting funny comments in the chat box here. You do actually have more if you include secondary diagnoses. And even then, it's only about 7 or 8 per thousand. So it's just, and that includes like people who break their bones, people who have babies. So really, what you're doing when you're trying to retard the progression of diabetes is helping Medicare. That assumes that it's working. So now, hit your chat box again. What is the rate of cavities filled per 1,000 Americans per year? And meanwhile, I think I have one more question that I can answer. How do you choose? Oh, all right, this is a good question. How do you choose between food type questions versus health plan questions? And that's a very good question. And I want to pause on it and keep you all sort of while you're coming up with your cavities answers here. The answer is you can actually dial up and dial down as much as you want, but we feel the optimal is about 70% lifestyle, meaning nutrition, exercise, that kind of thing, 20% use of the healthcare system, and 10% benefits. If you go up too much on use of the healthcare system, employees will say, well, you're just trying to get us to use less healthcare. So this is like subliminal marketing. But once again, we have, and Peter will show you, we have ways of editing these things so that you have ways of editing so that you can rebalance if you want to rebalance. So the answers that we have are between 16 and 500. Okay, the answer actually is it's probably much closer to 500. Well, it's certainly closer to 516, but nobody tracks it. I've been looking all over for this answer, and I get an answer close to 500 by just taking the number of dentists in the US and saying that they fill 4 cavities a day, 4 days a week. So they got one day when they're just doing, I don't know, replacing teeth and implants, whatnot. And the other days they're spending about a third of their time on cavities. So if you take that assumption, you get about 160 million cavities a year, which is almost 500. So congratulations to Jane this time, who got it, who was closest. Oh, and last, I forgot to congratulate the person last time. I believe that it was, I'd have to go back in the chat.
Well, both Denise and Shelley were 2 and 3, so they were real close.
Okay, all right, congratulations.
And there's also John Hoban also said 2 for the last one.
Okay, but Peter, I seem to recall somebody said 50. Might that have been you?
That was just a joke to throw
Oh,
you
it's
off.
a joke. Okay. All right. So good answer there. Now, we're not going to get through all of these because I want to make sure that we have time for everything. But the next question is, what is the rate of CT scans plus MRIs per 1,000 in the US? Once again, annual. And let me see, we don't have any other questions in the chat box, so this time we'll just wait for the answers to come in. Somebody knows where the term subliminal marketing came from, which is, we'll give John credit for that. They used to, back in the 50s, not 1970, John, back in the 50s when you're watching a movie, they used to have intermissions, and right before the intermission, a frame would come on with a bottle of Coke on it, and it would go off so quickly that nobody saw it, but it registered in your conscience, so you go get a Coke during the intermission. That's where subliminal marketing comes from. Okay, so we have here numbers, but okay, once again, the numbers are pretty good. The winner is, it looks like John with 277. It is in most places above 277. So this is from 2013, and I like this slide because it's very clear and easy to read, but it's gone up since then. If you look at the CAT scans, it's 240, and the MRIs are, was that 119? And so if you add them together, you get a number well in excess of 300. Now, in the commercial population, it's a little bit lower. So 277 is a pretty darn good guess. It's probably where we see it, it's probably between 280 and 310. So it's a lot of scans. And as you know, one thing we try to do is, it says here in the Journal of American Medical Association, Americans are addicted to unnecessary scans. Yes, very true. So with that, we're not going to finish. A couple other questions, we'll just save them for the next time. But congratulations to all the winners. And I'm going to now skip. We have this really great question. But we'll
I think I would do it, Al. I think
Yeah.
you have time to do it.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to skip to the puzzle, and once again, be ready to hit your chat box. All right. Here's the puzzle. Let's say you screen 10,000 employees for heart attacks, as wellness vendors are wont to do, with a test that is 90% accurate in their dreams. And the heart attack rate, and this was a question we didn't ask, is about 1 in 1,000. It's the same as the diabetes rate in the under 65 insured population. Employees only, it's much closer to 1 in 500, but we'll say 1 in 1,000 just for simplicity here. So if you screen 10,000 employees with a test that's 90% accurate, and a rate is 1 in 10,000, how many of your positive tests, employees who test positive, will be false? Give you a chance to answer here. Oops, gotta move my, okay. All right. So this is not like The Price is Right. You're allowed to go over or under. We're just looking for close here. So that answers that question in the chat box. So once again, this is a very sophisticated crowd. We've got, actually says 15. Oh my goodness. I can't keep up with everybody here. This is a very sophisticated crowd, and they know that the answer is very high. Now, having said that, there is one person, Denise, who appears to be pretty much spot on. So, and she had, well, I won't tell you what she has because I'll come up with that here. So let's go through the arithmetic. So you've got 10,000 people. Now the test is 90% accurate. And in this example, the heart attack rate is 1 in 1,000, basically, let's say it's 0, essentially. So of the people who would not have a heart attack, 90% of them are going to test negative. Test is 90% accurate. Of the people who would have a heart attack, test is 90% accurate. 9 will test positive and 1 won't. So of the 10 people who would have a heart attack, 9 would test positive. Of the people who, now a test which is 90% accurate is also 10% inaccurate. So that means 10% of the people who are not at risk for a heart attack within the next X number of years are going to test positive nonetheless. So Denise was off literally only by 9 people here. So it's essentially, if you test positive, the chances are only about 1 in 100 that you actually are at high risk for the heart attack. They are 99% likely to go seek all sorts of, get all stressed out, get all sorts of stress tests, possibly stents, etc. Not all the 990, but some of them, just to prevent that one heart attack. That one person, I'm sorry, just it's going to be a 100-to-1 ratio. And this even assumes that these 9 folks can be prevented. If you actually work out the arithmetic, and I'm not going to do it right here, but we'll send you the link, it costs about $1 million to potentially avoid a heart attack using a workplace screen. So now, because I've already used up, thank you for suggesting that I do.
And so Al, on this, I always just think it's worth adding because some people know this, some people don't. But I mean, it's not just cost, right? It's not like going to get tests, going to the hospital. These are not 100% risk-free, right? So in other words, if you have 1,000 people going to the hospital when they don't need to, there is a chance some of them might get injured or die of other things as a result, right?
Oh, well, that's absolutely the case. We have done webinars on that. The other thing is that doesn't even count the employee stress and the lost work time and all that.
Yeah.
So with that, I will turn the talking stick over to Peter. And Peter, I should stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so that was a lot of stuff good stuff to digest from Al. So I will keep this fairly simple, I think. One of the themes we're trying to accomplish on the product side with Quizzify is just increasingly make, all of this stuff as easy to use as possible and as sort of flexible as possible, because we have all sorts of different clients trying to pursue all sorts of different goals, and there's just a lot of ways to kind of slice and dice this. At root, this is a content company. We're trying to educate people using information. And so we're trying to give you, the admins, the sort of power to do that in the ways you'd like. So let me walk through one example today, and we are probably going to be making some videos expanding on this sort of product demo in the future. So stay tuned for those. But for now, I'm just going to demonstrate something about the quiz editing process. So let me start with kind of the old way that many of you are probably familiar with. So actually, I'll go back here. So, you're here on your company dashboard. This is kind of our Quizzify test account, but you all have your own versions, and you might go over to quizzes and you want to edit a quiz or quiz question. So for instance, I'm going to take a look at this one, cavities in the time of COVID. Okay, so again, this screen is probably familiar to many of you. Some of you are much more active with editing than others. So if you haven't seen these tools before, just sort of bear with me. But when you edit a quiz, there's different things you can do. You can sort of rename it, which you would do here, set the dates. I'm just sort of reviewing kind of status quo, just to contextualize what the change here. You can review questions. That's where probably most of you that do this focus your time. You can replace questions. You can, here, I'll show it in the way that you would see it. You could modify questions and so on. So that's sort of the workflow. If you haven't seen it before, then if you're a Quizzify client, probably someone else on your team is doing this sort of thing. Okay, so that's the status quo. This has been around for a while. Now, I want to show you a new way you could do this. And we have a sort of a growing suite of tools which are in beta, but we're going to be moving everybody to them, over the next few months. But you can use them now if you'd like. So when you go to a quiz now, you get this bar on top that says try our new quiz manager in beta. So click on that. And there's actually a bunch of stuff here. So I encourage you to kind of explore it, give us feedback, but I'm going to focus today just on the editing quiz portion. Okay, so you're in this tab, edit quiz, and it looks a little cleaner, hopefully, than the older stuff. And you can change the name here. So, cavities in the time of COVID, updated. I'm just going to add some random changes. We're not going to actually save these, but just for illustration, cavities are going to get worse if not treated. And by the way, there is a monthly drawing. So you can make edits that are particular to your company, timing, little adjustments. You can change the dates. But the most interesting thing that I think some of you at least will be most excited about is the question manager. So now these are in a much nicer, more integrated way. You can see all of the questions that are a part of this quiz. And you can see here they're in this bar, they're kind of listed out by their IDs, which correlate to the ones here. So you kind of get this view as a summary and then this table as the more detailed view. And there's a bunch of neat stuff you can do with this. First of all, and this does come up a lot, you can rearrange them. So just drag and drop them and you can rearrange them all you like. One thing is, I'm not going to do it now because I'm just doing this for a demo, but please save things. This does not auto save. There's too much complexity to sort of auto save right now because you may make errors and once you save it, it's live. So anyway, but please remember to save. Nothing is saving kind of automatically here. But yeah, so you can rearrange questions. You can also search for questions. So let's say I want to get rid of 4642, and I'll just get rid of it and add it back. But let's pretend I'm looking for a different question. So 4642, I can remove it here or up here. I'm going to remove it down here, remove from quiz. Again, not saved yet. That's still just in draft, but if I save now, it would remove it. So let's add it back. 4642. 1 second. There we go. And now it's back. Okay, and again, you could rearrange it, etc. Let's see if I could add Al's Carter thing. Let's see. Will Jimmy Carter show up? Let's see here. There we go. Presidents. I should have searched for presidents. So we could add that one, for instance. And once you add it, what's kind of neat is you can preview it, because if you're not sure what question you're looking at, you can just hit this preview button right here, and there it is. So now you have a better idea of what's going on in your quiz. So yeah, so we went over removing, adding, searching. There are these templates, by the way. We do have a lot of templates for different stuff. So if this is probably more applicable to if you're creating a quiz for the beginning. This one already has a lot of questions, so this is probably more you're editing this one. But if you're creating one or want to swap out a lot of questions, you can use some of our templates here.
Peter, could I just
questions as well.
briefly interrupt? I think the templates feature will be more useful. You're going to add a search, right?
Yeah. We'll add a search eventually, but for now you can just still scroll.
You can, yeah, but I think this, you'll find it much easier once, like you can just type in the word sleep, and we got a couple sleep quizzes, for example, but not now.
Right. Yeah. So again, this is in beta, so this stuff will continue evolving, and part of the reason we're sending it out to you all is we would like your feedback and let us know what can be improved, what's working, what's not working. But yeah, these features will continue getting stronger over time. What else? I covered the preview. Okay, so I just want to highlight one other thing. This is probably going to get released today, but if not today, very soon. So on top of being able to rearrange, search, add, remove, etc., you can actually also edit the question. It's not live yet, but I have it more or less done. And I'm just testing it now, where once you, this is the same view, but this is on my sort of my development version. So there will be a pencil icon. You can click edit, and there you go. Now you can actually edit the question, make changes to the answers, for instance. You could add answers, remove answers, change the prompt, change the link. You could add this little intro, which is that little white bar Al had at the top where it kind of introduces the question. So, and then you save that, and you'll be able to sort of make an edit to the question and to the quizzes at the same time. So that removes.
Let me just add two things to that. Okay, so the first is the white bar at the top. Like you might have 3 or 4 questions in a row. You might say the next few questions are about our 401k or something like that, just to sort of keep a theme going.
Let me pull that up so that they actually know what we're talking about. Where are the presidents? Okay. Oh, sorry, that's the local version. This one. So this is what Al's talking about. So this is a new thing. We're calling this the intro, and you kind of have the question prompt, which is this guy here, but then you could add sort of contextual things that highlight that, for example, like you could say something like, oh, and this is also part of X company's, our company's heart health month. Click here for more, things like that, for instance.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to use it on every question because it would just take up too much space on the screen. The other thing is some folks on this group like to send us the questions to edit. Some folks like to edit themselves. We're happy doing it anyway. I think you will find it easier if you do it more, and this is not just us trying to get out of work, but if you do more of it on your own, because that way everyone will always have the most recent version.
Yeah. I think I'm just trying to think like in terms of use cases. Usually it's one person on the team who's sort of the point person for editing and reviewing quizzes, so they'll probably collect everyone's feedback and handle it in some way. There are things you might want to send to us, like we don't like this question for X reason, can you please change it, or can you create a new question? But if you just want to rearrange things a little bit, or swap out one question, or you spot even maybe even like a typo or something, or like you can. It's probably nice to have one tool where you can do all of that rather than sort of waiting for us to, sending us an email and us processing it. So this is not intended for you to, from now on, have to do everything by yourself. It's just intended for you to be able to make some quick adjustments if you'd like to, without having to wait on us to do it for you.
So thank you, Peter. And just a couple of questions came in. How do we find all questions related to a topic? So you want to show the sort function for like the EAP example? The module, or
well, so that's a tool you have, Al. That
okay.
they don't use the question manager themselves, but if you, I mean, you could search for different things, right? So what was it, EAP?
Yeah.
So okay, let's say let me just remove a bunch of these to simplify this this page a little bit. So let's just pretend we're starting fresh on this quiz. So let's see if anything pops up for EAP. Leapfrog group. By the way, I'm getting sort of I'm getting sort of questions that are across the system. Yours would be customized to your company, so it wouldn't show up. Other companies' questions wouldn't show up. But I don't know, Al, can you think of anything in an EAP question that would be
confidential?
Oh, there we go. There we go. So yeah,
Yeah.
if I search confidential. So some of this is dependent on you sort of knowing what your ours is complicated because we have questions across the entire system. If you worked with Al to set up EAP questions and you're looking for like a keyword that's related to your company, you'd be able to find it here. But more likely something like that, we would probably create it for you, and then it's only if you want to swap it out, for instance, for another question about. So what I'm getting at is we're not intending this system to be like you're now responsible for knowing and tracking down all questions. We'd still probably be doing most of that. But if there's like a specific question you're hunting for, hopefully, for example, to swap it in, hopefully this tool can help you. Now it is an interesting idea, and it is something I've been thinking about, whether we could let you browse questions in a more broad way. So that may be coming down the road, and maybe added to this in some way.
Yeah,
and Peter, sorry.
Just to add on this EAP, we do have an EAP template quiz. So if you were to contact Polly or myself and say, next month we'd like an EAP quiz, we'll give you a bunch of EAP questions to start with, and then you can begin the editing process here and edit the questions to put in the information or the link to your specific EAP. And that's when we were talking about the templates before, that part is what we would do to put that template of an EAP shell quiz in your panel, so then you can take it from there.
Okay, with that, Mark, I'm afraid we're not going to get to the ROI as predicted. Deepali, if you just want to talk about some best practices, and then we'll get to the Q&A, and we should be able to wrap up right on time.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Everyone can see my screen? Awesome. So I'm just going to review some of the best practices for employee engagement strategies, which is a common goal for everyone. We want employees to get in there and play the quizzes and learn the information. So one of the most important parts of getting people signed up and part of the onboarding process would be getting upper management level buy-in, like from their supervisors and managers, really letting them know that they're taking the quizzes and learning some new valuable information themselves. And this is really important because it gets people to trust the app and gets them in there to play when they have somebody from an internal team talking about it. So one way maybe you could do this, just something I thought of, was you can send maybe a personalized note from our email system that we have within the app, letting them know I played this quiz and I learned how my dentist should really be treating my child's cavities, which we all should all of us hopefully know by now, it's SDF, silver diamine fluoride. And adding your own signature to it, a few accounts have done this already, and it's worked really well to boost engagement rate. And also just marketing in general these days, it's so personalized from social media and our apps that we have on our phones. So it really helps hearing from somebody from an internal team. Another thing that we have is including Quizzify in your newsletters or intranet pages with your unique subdomain link. We have a whole library of newsletter articles that Al has written that we could share with you and tailor it to your own benefits information and add your own subdomain link. If anyone,
Hey, Dipali, if I can just interrupt just briefly here. So I just want to give a big shout out to MIIA, well, we call it Mass Muni. They are power users of our articles, and they also have very high quiz completion, very high power user rate among the users. So this could be a good thing. Sorry, Dipali.
Yeah, no, thank you. This works really well. It reintroduces Quizzify beyond the emails that normally go out. And we can always add your unique subdomain link to help people get signed up. And let me go back to this. And we also have flyers and videos that we can give you with that introduce what Quizzify is, have some health literacy teasers in there, and get people playing. We also, I think everyone probably already knows this, but drawings or rewards of any kind really help people get in there and start playing Quizzify. We can always also announce your winners through our email system. Al does this for one of our accounts also, and it's really helpful letting people know that there are actually winners to these monthly raffles or gift cards.
Well, I just, once again, we do first name, last initial. That way we're not outing anybody, but they can out themselves.
Right, exactly. And just one more thing touching on that, making your incentive or reward message pretty detailed and specific is important. We actually had an account where they had a more broad message on it, and they specified it, and their active user rate went up by 11%, which was really awesome to see, just to ratify that. And then we also have our email system that you can use in our app. So if you go to the admin panel, on the left-hand side, there's a tab called email and email users. In here, you can target, all of your employees. You can also send a specific email out to just new users, and then also inactive users, where you might want to have different messages. Like if they're new users, you might want to use some language from our pre-launch email that we usually send to every account or company, which introduces Quizzify and what it is. If you're sending it to people who haven't played in a while, might want to reemphasize the reward message and add some quiz teasers into the email also. So that's something that's a great tool you can use. It's pretty user friendly. If we've downloaded your logo in here, it'll be right here. And it's really easy to just send to specific users. We also have, regularly updating your listserv, which is important. We find that if your participation is sliding a bit, it most often has to do with getting your new hires in there, maybe removing some of the data from people who are no longer there. And an easy way to do that is to, again, go into your admin panel. You can go to email list and schedule, and you can upload your listserv from an Excel document. All you really need is your email, first name and last name, and any other unique identifiers that you might want to get in there, and just upload the file, and it's pretty simple once you get into the app. But yeah, that was mostly it. I'm gonna throw it back to Al.
Okay, so I think my video is off. Let me turn it back on. So a few things. We have some questions coming. First of all, Deepali, you've got a fan base.
Oh,
And we appreciate, one of the things about the account management is getting back to people and never having the ball in your court. And Deepali does that great. So I'm glad to see I'm not the only person who knows it. Another question we have is, actually we have several, so okay, on dental, we've got a ridiculous amount of dental stuff. So that's, I mean, we have, it's probably one of the most, like, it's one of the places in healthcare where there's the largest difference between, practices and a lot of misunderstanding. And there's no Harvard Health publications or WebMD to tell you what's right and what's wrong. But we got probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 full quizzes if you were so inclined. Another question that comes up is the humor. Now, some people, this particular person wants more, other people want less. It's a little like deciding between the healthcare questions, the health benefit questions, and the healthy living questions, and that we can tee some stuff up, but a lot of this is personal taste, and that's why we've made it so easy to to add and subtract things. So now Linda was the person who asked that. And Linda, I've got some really good stuff for the last couple of questions you sent in. So I'm going to set your expectations high on that. And let's see if we have more humor. Well, that is not shared by everybody, but it's actually easier to take it out than put it in. But we do try to be responsive to everybody's particular requests.
It's kind of a barbell graph, isn't it, Al? I mean, some people want none because the legal team won't allow it, and some people want as much as is available. There's very few that want like 50% as much, right in the middle.
Yeah, they're very few, but the thing is, there's some which is integral to the question, and there are others which you kind of have to add. So it's a barbell, but there's a little bit in the middle where people say, if it flows really naturally from the question, like the president's question, for instance. I mean, that flows really naturally versus adding something. So that's a very, but you're right. In general, people tend to have strong preferences. Okay, so I think we promised 45 minutes, but this will just keep you on the edge of your seat for the next one in 2 months, where we'll go through the ROI calculator and a couple of other things. Are there any?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, 45 minutes for us, but we're available for Q&A if anybody wants to.
Well, I think I've kept up to all the Q&A, but did we schedule this for an hour? I think we did, right?
Yes. So if anyone wants to raise their hand and just come on and ask a question directly, we could do that, right?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I think I was going to suggest doing the ROI calculator, but let's keep it to 45 today because we're ending high. I'm getting lots of great comments. I don't want to take any chances with any more content here. But oh no, it says, wait. Well, actually, some people, this is just like the humor. Some people say, thanks very much, this was great. Other people say, keep going. I think we're going to just cut it off just because we're at a really high point and there's nothing else of any urgency. And you're going to love the stuff for the next round, and we'll do it in 2 months. So our ROI next time. So I guess at this point we say thank you very much for your very active participation.
And just as a final thought, also, if anybody does try any of our beta features on admin, wants to let me or Deepali know, it's just peter@quizzify.com or Deepali@quizzify.com. So please don't hesitate to give us your feedback.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye now.